y'all. So today I am doing another review of SimplePractice. I think it's been about a year since I did one, and a lot has changed with what SimplePractice has to offer. And we'll start with pricing and things like that. So they have 50% off for 3 months. So that's what those prices are. So just be aware that once you are past that trial period, it's $50 a month for the starter plan, $80 or $79 a month for the essential, and $99 a month for the plus plan, with additional fees charged for additional clinicians. So, the starter plan includes basic diagnostic and treatment plans, measurement-based care, online appointment request, and it does include electronic claim filing, which is good. The essential plan includes, everything from that one, but also appointment reminders. So that's kind of a big deal that's not included sort of in the basic plan. Calendar sync, another thing I think is kind of a big deal that's not included. Treatment plans that are customizable with the Wiley treatment planners, which I used for a bit, and those were actually, it was really helpful to have on there. And then 10 free insurance claims a month. And then the plus plan has group appointments. So if you work with groups a lot, group telehealth, premium support phone line, insurance status checks, 35 free insurance claims a month, which again, that might be a big deal if you bill insurance. And then, additional clinicians start at $74 a clinician. And maybe if you have more than just you may have to actually do the plus plan. There might not be an option to do the starter or the essential, which is kind of a big deal. So you can't add additional clinicians in these other plans. You can only do that in the plus plan. And I actually had done the math on what it would cost. I have there's 5 of us total, so there's me and 4 clinicians in my group practice. So it would cost us $600 a month to use SimplePractice if we used it with this, and then the AI part, like $450 a month without the AI add-on, which I'll get to later. So definitely pricier than some of the other things out there. And it looks like there's a lot of things missing in these 2 plans. The calendar sync, being able to announce things to clients, which is a great feature. The appointment request widget, calendar color coding, which I know is always a big deal, I think, and out of office scheduling. So this is actually a really cool feature that if you're going to be out of office, you can put it on your calendar that you're out of office, and it will send a notice to contacts and clients for you if you want. And you can also choose to not do that. And then it looks like group appointments and group telehealth. You can add it on for $20 a month, but it's only available with the plus plan. So just something to consider when you're thinking about, who your what your practice looks like, if it's going to grow, that type of thing. So then they also have this thing called Care Aid, which is an AI essentially assistant, and it includes a AI note taker, and then this session sidekick, which it can provide support during telehealth sessions, like remind you of things that you wanted to remember from a previous session, things like that, which I think is really, really cool. A treatment planner, again, that uses AI, and client summaries. So after sessions, things like that, that can recap, and it can be for the client. So there's a lot of cool features, AI features, again, but this is an add-on. So it's $29.50 a month for the account owner, and then $24.50 a month for each additional clinician, which I have to say, I think that's actually kind of a reasonable price for all of those features. But again, it adds up if you have a larger practice or something like that, but you can also pick and choose which clinicians that you want to do that for. So again, lots of interesting AI features. And this will send, homework takeaways and things like that. And that way you don't have to share your progress notes, which I think is a cool thing. They're very big on being HIPAA compliant, which I would hope they would be, and have a comprehensive privacy policy, which I always encourage people to look into themselves when using AI, even if it's with a known EHR. Yeah, something interesting is the session sidekick, which it pops up during your telehealth sessions, and so that way you can know what's happening in session. It can have insights. I think that's an interesting thing. I don't know how if it would be distracting or too much or something like that, but definitely an interesting feature that you could try out. And then the note taker will create progress notes and just like from your session, which is, again, something that I think all of us would love and like want. And also, this going to still, you're going to need to review it. Probably need to edit it because it is AI. And as much as I hate doing notes and often, fall behind on notes, I do think there is something about writing my own notes after a session that lets me kind of reflect. But again, I think this is interesting and definitely a impressive feature that they have. So this is the getting started page when you first create an account with them. It's very helpful. They've got a whole getting started thing. There's videos for everything, how to do everything within the EHR, which is great. I think that's always very helpful to have. But we're just going to go ahead and pop on over to the calendar. One thing I've always loved about SimplePractice is that they track your income and you can see it up there. And I just always loved the income tracker. I think it was always very motivating for me. I don't use SimplePractice anymore, but I did. And I always really liked that. I've always felt like they've had a very clean interface, easy to use, all of that. So this is sort of your calendar. So one thing that, they've really stepped up is, it's color coded, so you can create different colors for different service codes or statuses. They have a waitlist feature, which I think is great. And they also have a feature where if you do a consultation with somebody, they don't need to be added as a client. They can be added as like a potential client, and it's a separate thing. So they're not officially sort of on your roster. So they have all these filters: new client, incomplete documents, unpaid, insurance, things like that, which I think is really great. And again, it's, easy to add in. You can do an individual or couple. You can add events. Meetings, admin time, breaks, things like that, which I think is great. A lot of EHRs don't necessarily have an easy way to add in non-clinical time. So I think that's great. And you can add memos to everything. So again, it can be a note in there other people on your team could see if you need it, or if you just need a memo or more information on it. So it's a pretty powerful calendar. And then the out of office thing that I was mentioning, where you can, it can cancel appointments for you, notify clients, notify contacts. So if you have an emergency or something and you don't have time, this is a great tool, I think. And so again, I think that's, a really, really interesting feature. And then your availability. So you can add in availability and set that up. So again, a really powerful calendar. I think they've made a lot of great changes here. They make it really easy. And then if you, click on a client, it's easy to see things. You can see that they're new, add them to video office or to, in-person office. If I had that set up, you can easily see the service, the fee, appointment total, all of that kind of stuff, add the payment and bill them. And, you can easily access the note here. And so you can edit these templates and make your own sort of progress notes. And they have the progress note, and then they have the psychotherapy note, which is kept separate. Although I think it's always important to know that those can still sometimes be subpoenaed. So be careful with what you write in psychotherapy notes. I don't believe that they're completely protected. You can add, files to or attachments to clients. You can add notes and memos and things like that, which again, I think is always a helpful thing, especially if you have a team or you have a scheduler or something like that who wants to add in a note for you, they can do that. It has secure messaging, so you can send a message to that client. It has a away message. So again, if you are out of office or something like that, you can turn that on and they would be notified that you are out of office. So it really kind of takes away the need to have any sort of email going on. And you can also track their progress towards their goals, and that involves like the Wiley treatment planning goals, which I think is, again, a great option. So then client list, your clients show up here. You can filter by, if they're insurance or self-pay, their status, so active, inactive, archived, waitlist, prospective, again, which I think is a great option, and then whether or not they've been assigned to a clinician or not assigned to a clinician, or if they're a contact. So again, sleek, easy to use, and they have this pre-screener, again, which is a great option. So it will ask them specific questions. So if you, you want to make sure that they understand you don't take insurance or something like that, you can make sure you're asking that in the pre-screener so they're not trying to book with you if you're not a good fit. Billing, so, invoices, pretty standard, and you can see recent activity documents, things like that. And then you can do super bills, again, pretty standard billing section. So again, I don't take insurance and I don't use SimplePractice currently. However, I have a lot of friends who do, and they have found that the insurance billing is good through SimplePractice. They found it easy to use. And then the analytics section, I think, is something they've always made pretty and look good. And so they have, and you can, pretty standard reports here on the dashboard. And then they have other reports that you can look at here, which I think is always good. And activity log, which is always important, for HIPAA purposes. And one thing I do really like too is that they have these tasks. So you can create tasks with due dates, different priority levels, things like that, which again, I like it when everything's sort of in one place. And so it's nice that it's in the EHR. Appointment requests, easy to see here, that you're accepting them, things like that. I love that they have how many documents are completed or incomplete. I think that's incredibly helpful, and all of that. They have the inquiry section again, which makes it easy to have people find you. And so it's just super organized. I know that we get, I have a great admin who helps me track who's reaching out to us and all of that, but it's great when you can just have the EHR really handle that for you and easily see who's coming in, and all of that. And it lets you set up availability online, clients to book sessions, a contact form that you can put on your website or anything like that, the pre-screener, and then SimplePractice has its own directory, which is called Therapy Finder. And so you can also create that, which is another great tool that they have. So again, I think SimplePractice is great. I think it is one of the best EHRs out there. And I think it can be prohibitively expensive for group practices. I think maybe as a solo practitioner, it's still a little pricey, but might be worth it for the time that you would save if you have a really busy, heavy caseload. But I think for a smaller group practice, it's probably not the right fit, just based on how much it costs. I think it's at least 3 times more than the EHR that I use, which is PracticeQ. So again, I love SimplePractice. I always think it's a solid choice. But you just have to be aware of what bells and whistles you want, what things you want, and just knowing that they may go up in their price the more, they start to update the product or add in more things. So just something to consider. If you use it, let me know and what you think of it. Or if you are things you don't like, definitely drop that below too.